Single player games are the best thing in gaming. No stupid server problems. Just being immersed in great world and stories is amazing. So let's talk about some of the best, most awesome single player games you should be playing right now. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle feels like one of those games where you can tell the devs really cared about capturing the feel of the movies. Like, it's not just using the name for nostalgia, it actually plays like a solid Indiana Jones adventure. You've got the whip, the puzzles, the ancient tombs, and of course, Indy being Indy, sarcastic, stubborn, and always getting into trouble. The pacing is pretty chill. It's not some over-the-top, non-stop action game. You get moments to breathe, explore, solve stuff, and then boom, suddenly you're in a fight or outrunning something crazy. It's got that classic adventure movie vibe where things start slow, then go wild, and yeah, there's Nazi punching. It wouldn't be an indie game without that. Mafia Definitive Edition.
Thomas Angelo, Detective Norman.
Mafia Definitive Edition is pure mobster nostalgia done right. It's a remake that breathes new life into an absolute classic. You're playing as Tommy Angelo, a cabbie turned mobster in 1930s Lost Heaven, and it nails that old school gangster vibe from the vintage cars to the smoky jazz bars. Every corner of this city feels authentic, like you're really living in a Prohibition era crime drama. The story is the real star here, full of those classic mob moments, loyalty, betrayal, and the struggle of a guy trying to hold on to some scrap of morality while getting deeper into the mob life. Tommy isn't your typical cold-blooded protagonist, he's got a conscience, and that makes his story hit harder. The voice acting and character work keep it grounded, making you feel like you're watching a classic mob film.
Every bone in their bodies.
Detroit Become Human. It's an emotional experience that digs deep into the what-if of AI, human rights, and the meaning of freedom. This game gets you right in the feels, man. From the moment you start playing, you're thrust into a future Detroit where androids are everywhere, but they're treated like disposable tools. What does it mean to be alive? Can AI feel? And when is it okay to push back? The best part is Detroit lets you decide. You're not just following a story, you're shaping it with every choice. You play as 3 different androids, each with their own journey, and they each bring a unique perspective. It's so immersive that you actually feel like you're a part of this futuristic world, and the branching storylines, they're no joke. You can go back, replay scenes, make different choices, and see entirely new outcomes. Rise of the Tomb Raider. This game is a real adventure. It takes you to dangerous places, makes you fight to survive, and lets you explore ancient tombs filled with secrets. If you ever wanted to feel like a real treasure hunter, this game makes it happen. Lara Croft is stronger than ever. She travels to frozen mountains, deep forests, and lost cities, all while being hunted by a powerful group that will do anything to stop her. The story is full of action and keeps you moving forward, making every step feel important. The world is huge and beautiful. Snow-covered mountains, dark caves, hidden temples. Everywhere you go, there's something to find. You can climb, swim, and explore every corner, and the game rewards you for looking around. There are tombs filled with puzzles, secret artifacts, and lost writings that tell the story of an ancient civilization. And the combat feels fast and powerful. Lara doesn't just use guns, she has a bow, knives, and traps to take down enemies in smart ways. The survival elements make everything feel real. You hunt animals, craft weapons, and gather resources to stay alive. The cold can be deadly, and the game makes you feel like you're actually fighting the elements. Wolfenstein II: The New Colossus is just pure, unfiltered rebellion. This game grabs you by the throat from the start and doesn't let go, throwing you into a twisted, alternate 1960s America under Nazi rule. You're playing as BJ Blazkowicz, the ultimate one-man army, and it's brutal, unapologetic, and absolutely relentless. There's no holding back here. Every mission, every cutscene is packed with intensity and a kind of raw fury that makes it clear this is a fight worth fighting. What really makes the New Colossus stand out is how it balances over-the-top action with a surprisingly deep story. Sure, you're blasting through waves of Nazis with a ridiculous arsenal, dual-wielding weapons, and tearing down giant mechs. But the game also dives into BJ's psyche, his trauma, and his struggle to keep going despite the odds. Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games that just pulls you in and keeps you there. You're out there riding across this massive island with the wind guiding you instead of a map marker, and it just feels peaceful. But then, 5 minutes later, you're slicing through a group of bandits with your katana, and it's all intense and gritty. The story is solid. It's about Jin, a samurai, trying to fight back after the Mongol invasion. So he starts questioning tradition and doing what he has to do to protect his people, even if it means going against the samurai code. Combat is clean, you can go full stealth or walk up and challenge enemies face to face like a true samurai. Both styles work, parrying and dodging feels smooth, and when you get the timing right, it just feels good. The standoffs are badass too. You wait, time it right, and take down a dude in one clean strike. Baldur's Gate 3.
Frightening man, but you have something he doesn't.
Okay, real talk. Baldur's Gate 3 is, it's like someone took a giant Dungeons and Dragons session, gave it $1 billion budget, and said, go crazy. And oh boy, it goes crazy. You've got drama, you've got chaos, you've got mind flayers shoving space worms in your eyeball 5 minutes into the game. You're infected with a parasite that should have turned you into a monster by now, but instead you start developing powers. Weird, creepy powers, so now you're trying to find a cure, stop yourself from becoming a tentacle-faced freak, and also figure out why you're not dead yet. It's a mess. But like with most great RPGs, it's not even the main plot that makes this game so special, it's the people, the companions. These characters are just so well written. You got Asterion, sexy vampire boy with a tragic backstory who flirts with you while plotting murder. Shadowheart, the mysterious cleric with major leave me alone but also love me energy. Gale's out here eating magical items like snacks, and somehow you care about all of them, even when they're being absolute gremlins. Oh, and by the way, the romance in this game is, I mean, you can fall in love with vampires, devils, druids, tieflings, Githyanki warriors, basically anyone and anything. There's even a scene where a bear might hit on you. No spoilers, but yeah, it's a thing. Cyberpunk 2077.
Regards. So you're gonna consider my offer now?
Now, Cyberpunk story here is just a regular dude or girl in Night City trying to make it big. That's it. That's the dream. Get rich, get famous, live fast, look cool doing it. The world of Night City is insane. Neon everywhere, cops, gangs, rich corpos, broken down slums, robot hookers, talking vending machines. It's all here. Every street feels alive. You just walk around and you feel like you're really there. Like you could grab a drink, start a fight, or just ride your bike at night while some sad synth music plays. Honestly, sometimes that's the best part. Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is like the gold standard for RPG stories. But Witcher 3 hits different. Like, yeah, it's a giant open world full of monsters and war and weird stuff happening in the woods, but deep down, this is just the story of a grumpy old monster hunter trying to find his adopted daughter. That's it. That's the heart, and it's so freaking good. You play as Geralt. White hair, yellow eyes, voiced like he smokes 300 cigarettes a day, but under all that tough guy stuff, he's actually a softie. He's just really, really bad at showing it. But while you're doing all this dad detective stuff, you also get pulled into literally everything else happening in the world, and the writing is so good, you want to get pulled in. One minute you're chasing leads about Ciri, the next you're helping a dude haunted by a ghost baby, like what? It sounds crazy, but somehow it all fits.
It's a deal.
And the side quests are like, they're not just go kill 5 wolves nonsense. These are full-blown mini-stories. Some of them are better than main stories in other games. Also, shout out to the Bloody Baron quest. You know what I'm talking about, that whole storyline. It's dark, it's emotional, and it's not afraid to show messed up people doing messed up things, but in a very human way. Like, you don't agree with everything, but you get it. That's rare in game.
Forgive me. You came, but who I did not embrace.
Batman Arkham Knight is the kind of game that hooks you with the city first. Gotham is huge, packed, and built to tempt you into doing one more thing. Rooftops, alleyways, flooded docks, neon streets, and towers full of side missions that each feel like a tiny story. Flying around the skyline, dropping down for a quick takedown, then zipping off to chase a new clue is a loop that eats hours without you noticing. Traversal feels great. Gliding is smooth and weighty, you launch off a building, catch air, and the game actually actually makes you feel like you're flying. The grapple and glide combo is fast and fun. It never gets old flying into a fight or sliding across a rooftop to a hiding spot. Detective mode turns the game into a little puzzle box. Scan a scene, piece clues together, and you feel like a detective instead of just a puncher. That variety keeps the loop fresh because you rarely do the exact same thing twice. The open world is filled with smart, bite-sized missions, Riddler puzzles, side cases, villain hideouts, and things that reward exploration. The Riddler stuff can be grindy, but it also gives you little tests that feel rewarding when you finally figure them out. Side characters show up with their own problems, and solving them often leads to upgrades or cool gear. Those small wins pile up fast and make the game feel rewarding at every corner. Elden Ring. This game is huge. It takes everything that made Dark Souls great and amplifies it, dropping you into a massive world that feels like it goes on forever. Every mountain, every ruin, every dark cave, it's all waiting to be explored, and the best part? The game doesn't tell you what to do, you figure it out. From the moment you step into the lands between, you feel small. The world is ancient, broken, full of lost kingdoms and powerful enemies. You see a giant glowing tree in the sky, a castle in the distance, and a knight on horseback ready to destroy you in 2 seconds. This game doesn't hold your hand, it throws you into danger and lets you learn by surviving. And the combat, brutal and amazing. Every fight is intense, you time your attacks, dodge at the perfect moment, and land a hit that actually matters. Every boss is a test of patience and skill, and when you finally win after dozens of tries, the feeling is unreal. But the best part? Freedom. There's no one telling you to go here or do this quest. You choose where to go, who to fight, and how to play. Want to ride off into the wild and fight dragons? Do it! Want to sneak through a dangerous castle and steal loot? Go ahead. Want to spend hours farming runes and leveling up? Totally fine. The game lets you play your way. Days Gone. Days Gone is this wild survival game where you play as Deacon St. John, this tough biker guy, trying to stay alive in a world that's been taken over by these crazy zombies called freakers. But these aren't your slow, shuffling zombies. Nah, these freakers are fast, scary, and they usually roll in huge packs that can totally mess you up if you're not careful. The game takes place in this big open Oregon wilderness that's super pretty but also kind of creepy. You get to ride your motorcycle everywhere, which is awesome because it makes exploring way more fun. But here's the catch. You gotta keep your bike in good shape. That means finding gas, fixing parts, and upgrading it so it doesn't break down when you need it most. Trust me, getting stranded in the middle of nowhere with a freaker horde chasing you, not a good time. When it comes to fighting, the game mixes sneaking and action. Sometimes you want to sneak around quietly, taking out freakers one by one, and other times you gotta go all out with guns and traps. The freakers change how they act depending on if it's day or night, so you gotta keep your eyes open and plan your moves carefully. Nighttime is especially intense because the freakers get even more dangerous after dark. Black Myth Wukong. You're stepping into the fur-covered shoes of Sun Wukong, the Monkey King himself. This dude is legendary in Chinese folklore with more tricks up his sleeve than a stage magician at a kid's party. And the game leans hard into that. You're doing all kinds of wild stuff, transforming into insects to sneak past enemies, whipping that magical staff around like you're trying to clean up a brawl, and just generally making everyone's life hell in a really flashy, over-the-top way. Graphically, this game is a chef's kiss. We're talking some of the most stunning visuals I've seen. It's got this vibe like you're stepping straight into a mythical painting, but with more action and honestly, a lot more gore. It's like a perfect blend of speed and precision, where you're reading enemy patterns, dodging and countering at the last second, and then slapping them back with some insane moves that only a Monkey King could pull off. Uncharted 4. This game still plays and looks like it could be a next-gen title. The fluid animations, the set pieces, the pacing, everything was perfect. It's the last big chapter for Nathan Drake, and you can feel that from the start. He's not the young wild guy he used to be. He's older now, trying to live a quiet life with Elena, but deep down, you know he misses the thrill. So when his brother Sam shows up asking for help, Nate jumps back in. One more adventure. And honestly, it's his best one. The game takes you all over the world, from muddy jungles to crazy pirate ruins, and every place looks insane. And you know that jeep chase in Madagascar is still one of the coolest moments in any game. And the whole pirate treasure hunt thing, it just keeps getting bigger and crazier as the game goes on. And for the gameplay, everything's smoother here. Gunfights feel clean, you can go loud or stealthy, and it's actually fun either way. The climbing feels more natural than before. And then there's the grappling hook, which might sound like a small thing, but it adds so much to how you move. You're swinging across gaps, climbing faster, pulling off cool stunts. It's just fun to control. The exploration is a big deal too. It's not a fully open world, but the levels are wide enough that you can take your time, look around, and find hidden paths or optional stuff. And the visuals, crazy. This was a PS4 game, but it still holds up with modern stuff. The water, the lighting, the little details in buildings. Naughty Dog didn't mess around. Okay, so Metro Exodus. This came out in 2019, and it's like the third game in the Metro series. And if you played Metro 2033 or Metro Last Light, you know those games are very linear, very claustrophobic. You're in the Moscow metro tunnels for most of it. Metro Exodus takes that formula and opens it up, and it works way better than I expected, dude. So you're still playing as Artyom, and the setup is that you and a group of survivors steal this train called the Aurora, and you're leaving Moscow to try and find a better life somewhere else in post-apocalyptic Russia. And the game is structured around these big open areas that you explore. Like, you'll arrive at a location, you get off the train, and you have this semi-open world to explore for a few hours before you move on to the next area. It's not a full open world, it's more like these large sandbox levels, and I think that structure works really well, because each area has its own vibe, its own story, its own challenges. The first big area is the Volga, which is this frozen river region in early spring. You're exploring this muddy, partially frozen landscape, there's this crazy religious cult, there are mutants everywhere, and you're just scavenging for supplies and trying to help your crew. Then you go to the Caspian Desert, which is completely different. It's hot, it's sandy, you're driving around in a van, and it feels like a different game. Then there's the Taiga, which is this dense forest, and that one's more linear and focused on stealth. Each area has a different season, different enemies, different atmosphere, and it keeps the game feeling fresh. You're managing your gas mask filters when you're in irradiated areas, you're managing ammo, which is scarce, you're cleaning your weapons because they get dirty and jam if you don't maintain them, and you can customize your guns on the fly. Like, you find a workbench or you're back on the train, and you can add scopes, change barrels, add stocks, modify your weapons however you want. It's really satisfying because you're constantly tweaking your loadout based on what you're about to do. The gunplay feels good, it's got weight to it, and you can approach situations with stealth or go loud, and the game accommodates both. I found myself using stealth a lot because ammo is precious and you don't want to waste it if you don't have to. But when fights break out, they're tense and desperate because you're always low on resources. You're not some overpowered super soldier. You're just a guy trying to survive with whatever gear you can scavenge. Horizon Forbidden West. This game occupies a really fascinating, highly debated space in the modern gaming landscape. If you look at online discourse, people tend to get weirdly polarizing about it. Some folks totally bounce off Alloy's adventure, writing it off as just another pretty over-designed map game. But if you actually sit with it, dive beneath that gorgeous glossy surface, and focus purely on the structural evolution of its world building, there is a brilliant mechanical mastery here that deserves a lot more respect. Guerrilla Games clearly looked at the criticisms of the first title and decided to radically overhaul how they handle optional content. The physical vastness of the Forbidden West is undeniable. Scaling these colossal, ruined ancient structures or diving into the claustrophobic, submerged depths of a flooded Las Vegas feels incredible. Guerrilla populates these spaces with distinct, memorable vignettes. The salvage contracts, the hunting grounds, the subterranean cauldrons, they all feed back into a highly rewarding progression loop. The combat design and the side narrative completely intertwine. When a side quest asks you to hunt down a specific high-tier machine like a Tremor Tusk or a Slaughter Spine, it feels like a genuine high-stakes event. You have to strategize, target specific components, and utilize an expanded arsenal of traps and elemental weapons. That mechanical depth keeps the loop from ever feeling stale, even 50 hours deep.
Didn't like that, did you? Time to finish this.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. You follow Cloud and his crew, Tifa, Barrett, Aerith, Red 13, and more, as they leave Midgar and start traveling across the open world, and man, some of the areas you explore are just beautiful. You've got glowing forests, giant plains, snowy mountains, beach towns, all of it shot with great camera angles and full of small cinematic touches. Even just walking around or talking with your party has this smooth movie-like presentation. The animations, the voice acting, the lighting, it's all really polished. The cutscenes are a big part of why it feels so cinematic. They're long, but they're good. The acting hits, the music swells at the right times, and it all blends perfectly with the gameplay. You'll go from exploring right into a big boss fight, then straight into a story scene, and it's all one seamless flow. And the combat system, it's flashy, but still gives you full control. You can fight in real time, slow things down to plan out moves, and pull off big team combos, and summon animations that look straight up epic.
Got proof enough?
Kingdom Come Deliverance. The whole idea behind Kingdom Come Deliverance is pretty unique because it's all about being super realistic and historically accurate. Unlike most fantasy RPGs where you've got dragons, magic, and elves, this game throws all that out the window. It's set in Bohemia, which is now part of the Czech Republic, back in the year of 1403. You play as a guy named Henry, who starts out as just a simple blacksmith's son, but then his peaceful village gets attacked by an army, his family is killed, and he pretty much loses everything. So the story follows Henry as he tries to get revenge and ends up getting caught right in the middle of a brutal civil war and a struggle for the throne. It's a deep, personal story about a regular guy trying to survive and make his way in a really tough time based on actual historical events and places. And when you're actually playing the game, it's very different from a lot of other RPGs. Because it's so focused on realism, Henry starts off as a complete nobody. He's not some chosen hero, he's just a peasant. So for instance, in the beginning, he's actually pretty bad at fighting, and he can't even read. All your skills like sword fighting, archery, stealth, or even just picking locks only get better the more you do them. If you want to get good with a sword, you actually have to train with a sword master in the game. If you want to be sneaky, you gotta practice sneaking around without getting caught. It's a game where you really feel Henry's journey from a clueless kid to becoming more capable. The Plague Tale Requiem. It's one of those games where the story and the visuals work together so smoothly, it feels like you're watching and playing through a full-on medieval drama. You're back playing as Amicia, still trying to protect her little brother Hugo, who's got this weird power tied to a plague of rats. Yeah, still rats. And yeah, still brutal, but this time the story is darker, deeper, and way more intense. You're not just running from soldiers or trying to escape a city. Now you're crossing entire regions, trying to find a cure, and watching these two kids basically lose their childhood along the way. Visually, this game is stunning, like, for real, some of the best graphics out there. Whether it's a bright field of flowers, a foggy ruined village, or a nighttime escape with torches lighting the path, it always looks amazing. Cutscenes and gameplay blend right into each other, no awkward jumps or loading screens. It just flows.
I feel my mind going. I know. Think of your brother. We have to carry on.
Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. This game is probably the hardest game on the entire list, but it is also the most satisfying video game you will ever play in your life, once you learn how to do it. It is made by the same people who made Dark Souls, but you have to forget everything you learned in those games, because if you try to roll around on the floor, you will die instantly. Sekiro is all about standing your ground and deflecting the enemy's sword swings with your own sword. It creates this incredible rhythm of metal clanging against metal that feels like a deadly dance. You have to tap the block button at the exact split second the enemy hits you, and when you get good at it, you feel like an actual ninja master. The reason it is so addictive is because of the difficulty curve. At the beginning of the game, you will get destroyed by basic enemies and you will feel like giving up. But then there is this magical moment that every player talks about where the combat just clicks in your brain. Suddenly you stop panicking and you start reading the enemy movements. You realize that you're not trapped in a room with a boss, the boss is trapped in a room with you. The rush of adrenaline you get when you finally beat a boss that has been killing you for 3 hours is a feeling that no other game can give you. You will literally be shaking with excitement because you know you won just because of your own skill. Okay, so Far Cry 3. This is the one that really put Far Cry on the map, man. Like, the first game was fine, Far Cry 2 was interesting but divisive, and then Far Cry 3 came out in 2012 and it was just like, oh, okay, this is what this series should be. This is the formula. Voss is like the main draw of this game. He's one of the best video game villains ever. He's terrifying, unpredictable, he's charismatic. The gameplay loop is what made this game so addictive and what every Far Cry since has copied. You've got this big open world island to explore and it's covered in enemy outposts that you can liberate. And taking over outposts is just so satisfying. You can scout them out with your camera and tag all the enemies. Then you can approach however you want. Snipe everyone from a distance, sneak in and stealth kill everyone, set animals loose to cause chaos, go in loud with explosives, and when you clear an outpost, that area becomes safe and you unlock fast travel and side missions. It's such a good progression system that makes you want to keep clearing the map. There's these cool takedown animations that you unlock that make you feel like a badass. Like you can chain stealth kills together or do a takedown and then throw your knife at another guy. It's all really satisfying. Alien Isolation. You play as Amanda Ripley, who is the daughter of Ellen Ripley, and she is trying to figure out what happened to her mom, which is a cool story, but honestly, you barely care about the plot because you are too busy sweating. You are stuck on this huge, broken down space station called Sevastopol, and everything looks all retro and 70-ish, which is a cool look, but it is also creepy and run down. The station is full of dangerous people and these scary robots, but the real star of the show, the thing that makes you want to uninstall the game immediately, is the xenomorph itself. This alien is the best horror movie monster that has ever been put into a video game. And the thing is truly terrifying because it is unscripted, which means it does not follow a set path. It is basically the smartest hunter you have ever seen, and if you keep running, it learns that you run and it will cut you off. If you keep hiding in the same locker, it will find you there the next time. It literally gets smarter and learns your habits, so you constantly have to change how you play, which is just exhausting. Your only real friend is the motion tracker, which is that little radar thing that goes ping, 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 but that little noise is actually the most stressful sound in the history of sound. It tells you exactly how close the alien is, but it is not fast enough to tell you where it is coming from, and sometimes you see the blip right above you, which means it's in the vents and it is about to drop down and end your whole life. You spend the entire game crouching under tables and walking slowly in the dark, and you are just hoping that the terrifying creature does not smell you or hear you breathe. God of War Ragnarök. You're thrown right into it. Fimbulwinter's in full swing, the world feels colder and more dangerous, and that father-son dynamic has changed. Atreus is older now, he questions things more, tries to find his own path, and you can feel that tug-of-war between him and Kratos throughout the whole game. Kratos, man, you can tell he's tired, not weak, just emotionally worn out, and that adds a lot to the story. It's not just about smashing monsters anymore, it's about trying to be a better person, even when your whole life has been about violence. The combat is sharp as hell, that Leviathan axe still feels heavy and satisfying, and the Blades of Chaos, man, when you start swinging those again, it's like muscle memory kicks in. They've added new abilities, new skill trees, and more ways to fight, but it never feels overwhelming. It just feels like you're getting better alongside Kratos. Some fights are small and brutal, others are these massive cinematic boss fights that feel straight out of a movie, but they never drag. They're just intense in the right way. Guardians of the Galaxy 2021. I really think Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the most pleasantly surprising single-player games in the last couple of years, because I remember a lot of people completely writing this thing off before even touching it, mostly because it got unfairly dragged into the whole live service superhero game mess happening around that time. People saw Marvel, saw Square Enix attached, and immediately assumed this was going to be another grindy loot game or something. And then you actually play it and realize, nah, this is basically just a really solid old-school single-player adventure game with a ridiculous amount of heart. And honestly, the biggest reason it becomes so addictive is the characters. Like, the game absolutely nails that feeling of being stuck on a spaceship with a bunch of dysfunctional idiots you slowly start loving more and more over time. And the game is way bigger than I expected too. People kind of forget this because it's not open world, but the adventure itself feels huge. Different planets, giant cities, weird alien environments, massive set pieces, ships sequences, creature encounters. The game constantly changes scenery enough that it keeps pulling you forward. Every few hours there's some completely different environment or gameplay gimmick thrown in. I also think the pacing is really strong because it balances quieter moments with total chaos really well. One second you're walking through the Milano talking to the crew about random nonsense, then suddenly there's this gigantic combat encounter with explosions everywhere and licensed music blasting in the background. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Respawn Entertainment basically saved Star Wars games with the first one, Fallen Order, and this sequel is just that game on steroids. It is bigger, darker, and honestly way more fun to play. But we have to address the elephant in the room right away, because I know you guys remember the launch. The PC port was an absolute dumpster fire. It was stuttering, crashing, and running at like 10 frames per second on high-end rigs. It was embarrassing, and it took them months to actually fix it. If you played it day one, you probably hated it, but if you play it now, it is a completely different experience, and it is easily one of the best action games out there. In the first game, you only had a couple of ways to hold your lightsaber, but here you get 5 different stances. You can go dual wield for super fast attacks, or you can use the crossguard stance, which makes your saber look like Kylo Ren's. That stance is heavy and slow, but when it hits like a truck. It feels so satisfying to just smash a droid into pieces with one swing. The funniest addition is the blaster stance. Jedi are usually all about honor and civilized weapons, but Cowcast has clearly stopped caring about the rules. You get to shoot enemies with a gun in one hand and slash them with a saber in the other. It feels totally disrespectful to the Jedi code, and that is why it is so great. You can parry shots, reflect bolts, and use the Force to push people off cliffs. The traversal is also way better this time. You get a grappling hook, and the parkour feels faster. You're running on walls, dashing through the air, and zipping around like a superhero. It flows really well compared to the clunky movement in the first game. This is absolutely one of the most mechanically satisfying sci-fi campaigns you can play. It is a straight-up immersive sim. You play as Morgan Yu, and the game is essentially a massive interconnected mega dungeon in space. You are dealing with an alien outbreak of these creatures called Typhon, and you have to survive and figure out what happened to you. The enemy design actually forces you to change how you look at a video game environment. The lowest level enemies are called mimics, and they can shapeshift to disguise themselves as ordinary objects. You walk into a room and your brain immediately starts analyzing every coffee cup, every chair, every single little object, because any of them could be an alien waiting to jump at your face. You learn to distrust the environment entirely, smashing everything with your wrench just to be safe. But the gameplay loop is where it becomes a really good full meal. You upgrade Morgan using neuromods, which act as skill trees where you can unlock human abilities like hacking or increased health, and eventually you can even scan the aliens to take their powers. You can mimic objects yourself, meaning you can literally turn into a teacup and roll through a tiny crack in a glass window to get into a locked room. It makes you think completely outside the box. And I gotta talk about the glue cannon. It is a delightfully game-breaking piece of hardware. It shoots out this foam-like substance that hardens instantly. You can use it to freeze enemies in place, but more importantly, you can use it to build your own paths. You can shoot blobs of it against a wall to create makeshift staircases and climb up to a rafter or a hidden ventilation shaft, totally bypassing locked doors and security systems. It feels immensely satisfying to outsmart the level design using your own physics and momentum. Lies of P, NeoWiz, and Round 8 Studio really looked at Bloodborne and decided they could make something that good. And honestly, they actually pulled it off. This game sounds totally ridiculous on paper because you play as Pinocchio. Yeah, the puppet with the nose, but it is not a kid's game at all. It is a dark and gritty retelling of that old story, set in this place called the City of Krat. The developers went for a Belle Epoque style, which is like this fancy French era from the late 1800s, so everything looks expensive and beautiful, but covered in oil and blood. The atmosphere is just thick. You walk through these rainy streets filled with crazy puppets that killed their masters, and it feels just as scary as Yharnam. The combat is the main reason this game is on the list. It feels incredibly smooth and responsive. A lot of studios try to copy the From Software feel and mess up the timing or the hitboxes, but here everything is precise. The game wants you to be aggressive. It has a mechanic where if you block a hit, you lose some health, but you can get it back by hitting the enemy quickly. It forces you to stay in the fight instead of running away. You also have to master the perfect guard, which is basically a parry. When you time it right, you break the enemy's weapon or stagger them so you can do a big finisher move. It feels satisfying to hear that loud metal clang when you deflect an attack perfectly. One of the coolest things about the gameplay is the weapon assembly system. You can take the blade of a giant sword and stick it on the handle of a dagger. The handle determines the moveset and the scaling, while the blade determines the damage and range. You can mix and match so many combinations to find something that fits exactly how you want to play. You also have a mechanical arm called the Legion arm. Kind of like in Sekiro, you can swap it out to shoot fire, pull enemies closer with a wire, or block attacks with a shield. It adds a nice layer of strategy to the fights. Another big part of the game is the P-Organ system, which is just a skill tree where you unlock upgrades like more healing cells or better dodging. And since you are Pinocchio, lying is a real mechanic. Throughout the game, you have to choose between telling the truth or lying. These choices actually matter and change the ending you get. It ties the story into the gameplay in a way that makes sense. The game was also super polished right when it came out. It ran great on PC and consoles without stuttering or crashing, which is rare these days. Resident Evil 4 Remake. I mean, yeah, at this point, Resident Evil 4 is basically one of those untouchable games. The pacing is unbelievable. Seriously, this game constantly feels like it's evolving every hour. Village sections turn into survival horror turns into giant action sequences, then suddenly you're solving puzzles in creepy castles, then escaping from horrifying underground labs, then fighting giant mutated monsters. The game never sits still long enough for you to get bored. And that's really why RE4 becomes one of those accidentally played for 7 hours games. Every chapter ends with some new weapon, enemy, environment, mechanic, or set piece that makes you want to keep pushing forward. Shooting enemies in the knees, roundhouse kicking groups, parrying attacks with a knife now, blasting Donatos apart with a shotgun. Every encounter feels chaotic, but controlled at the same time.
Why? You can't save her. You can't save anyone.
The Last of Us. It's a story that sticks with you long after you're done playing. You follow Joel, a broken man with a tragic past, and Ellie, a young girl who might just hold the key to humanity's survival as they travel across a brutal post-apocalyptic America. The relationship between these two is the heart of the game, and watching it grow feels so real and raw, it's hard not to get emotionally invested. The gameplay is intense, balancing stealth and survival. Resources are scarce, so every bullet, every crafting decision matters. Whether you're sneaking past clickers or fighting off desperate humans, the tension is always high. Combat feels brutal and personal, but it's not over the top, it's grounded, which makes every encounter feel dangerous. The world is a mix of beauty and decay. Overgrown cities, abandoned homes, and hauntingly quiet streets tell their own stories. Exploring isn't just about scavenging supplies, it's about soaking in the atmosphere and piecing together the lives of the people who used to live there. This isn't just a game about zombies or infected. It's about humanity, how far people will go to survive, the bonds we form, and the lines we're willing to cross. It's heavy, but that's what makes it so unforgettable. Even years later, The Last of Us holds up because it's not just about gameplay, it's about the experience. Whether you're diving in for the first time or replaying it, it's a journey worth taking.
Count.
I got this.
BioShock. BioShock was a revolutionary title that redefined the first-person shooter genre. In BioShock, you play as Jack, a survivor of a plane crash who finds himself in the underwater city of Rapture. Built by the enigmatic Andrew Ryan, Rapture was intended to be a utopia free from government control, but it has since descended into chaos. As you explore the city, you uncover the dark secrets behind its downfall. One of the most groundbreaking aspects of BioShock was its setting. Rapture is a beautifully designed, Art Deco-inspired city that feels both eerie and captivating. The game's narrative is deeply philosophical, exploring themes of free will, objectivism, and the nature of humanity. The famous twist involving the phrase, "Would you kindly," remains one of the most memorable moments in gaming history. The gameplay in BioShock is a unique blend of first-person shooting and role-playing elements. You can customize your playstyle using plasmids, which grant you various powers such as telekinesis, pyrokinesis, and the ability to control machines, the system allows for creative combat and puzzle solving as you can use the environment and your abilities to outsmart enemies. Spider-Man 2018, the web swinging in this game is so good that it's actually therapeutic. You can literally spend hours just swinging around New York City without doing a single mission because the physics feel so perfect. You shoot a web and it actually has to attach to a building. You can't just swing from the clouds. The momentum is insane because you dive off the Empire State Building and wait until the very last second to shoot a web, and you feel that rush of speed in your stomach as you swing just inches above the traffic. The combat is basically a faster and more acrobatic version of the Batman Arkham games, and once you get the rhythm down, it looks like a choreographed movie scene. I usually hate collecting random items in open world games, but in this one, I found every single backpack because they all have little pieces of lore inside them, like Peter's old homework or his first web shooters. Every token you earn lets you unlock a new suit, and there are so many cool ones from the movies and the comics. You will grind out random crimes in the street for 3 hours just so you can unlock the suit from the cartoon you watched as a kid. It is just pure fun from start to finish, and it respects your time by being purely entertaining every single second you play it.
Looks like they bring in their buddies in shipping containers.
This game is the phenomenal debut title from Sandfall Games, and it immediately sets a new bar for how stunning a turn-based role-playing game can look. The entire project is visually jaw-dropping because the developers decided to render everything using a style inspired by 19th century French Romanticism and Impressionism. This means the world is unbelievably beautiful. Lush, soft, and vibrant, looking like a living painting, which creates this incredible, eerie contrast with the desperate, apocalyptic story. The whole premise is immediately gripping and deeply tragic. The world is facing a slow, agonizing end thanks to a powerful villain called the Paintress. Her power is horrifyingly simple. Every year, on her birthday, she appears and magically subtracts 1 year of age from every single person on the planet. Your group, the titular Expedition 33, are the final, desperate attempt to find and stop her before the entire human race hits age 0 and simply fades away. That ticking clock hanging over the world gives every single mission and conversation a real, palpable sense of urgency that you don't often get in these kinds of games. Now, let's get into the mechanics, because the combat is the reason this game is blowing up right now. It takes the classic turn-based system and amps up the adrenaline. It's an active turn-based system that absolutely demands your attention and skill. You aren't just selecting options from a menu and sitting back. Whenever an enemy attacks one of your 4 party members, a small, quick time prompt appears on the screen, and you have to hit the correct button or direction at the exact moment of impact to successfully parry, block, or dodge the blow. Nailing the timing is critical, because a perfect parry can drastically reduce damage and give you an immediate counterattack chance. The same timing-based inputs apply to your offensive moves. To maximize the damage or trigger the powerful secondary effects of your abilities, you often have to hit a sequence of buttons or hold a press in a specific rhythm. This means every battle, from minor skirmishes to the gigantic multi-stage boss fights, which are visually spectacular by the way, is a highly engaging test of reflexes and rhythm. You're constantly managing your party's unique skill trees, making sure their equipment is optimized, and mastering the timing of the parry system. It's a game that respects both the strategic depth of traditional role-playing games and the skill-based satisfaction of an action title, making it a powerful experience that feels genuinely new in the current gaming landscape. Red Dead Redemption 2, here we go again, but like booting up RDR2 and the act of traversal itself is so satisfying and meditative. It's amazing, but the overall thing that makes me always come back to RDR2 is the amount of content, the open world and stuff. The main story is phenomenal, don't get me wrong. Some of the best storytelling Rockstar has ever done, some of the best characters in any video game. But the replayability of Red Dead 2 doesn't come from replaying the story, though I've done that 3 times now. It really comes from everything else, like the world itself, the systems, and the way this game is just absolutely overflowing with content that you will miss on your first playthrough. playthrough. I mean, I can guarantee it. Like, I don't care how thorough you think you are sure to miss some stuff. And like, let me just talk about my first playthrough, right? My first playthrough of Red Dead 2, I played it when it came out in 2018, and I thought I was being pretty thorough. I did a bunch of side quests, hunted some legendary animals, got into the story, and thought that was it. But then, you know, seeing some videos online of the secrets, details, quests, random encounters I had missed, just had to go back again for the next playthrough. Like, the main story missions, those are great, but that's just the foundation. You have stranger missions, which are these side quests that you find out in the world, and there are like 20 something of these, and each one is its own little storyline. Then you have these shit ton of random encounters, random events that happen as you're riding through the world. Someone gets thrown off their horse, someone's getting robbed, someone needs medicine. It all makes the world feel really lively.
Let's keep this between us.
Oh, you saved my life. I owe you.
Got that right.
Also, just hunting and fishing in RDR2. There are like 200 something animals, each with their own behaviors, own habitats, own perfect pelts that you need to get in specific ways. You got legendary animals that you need to hunt and track, and the pelts and materials you get from these animals you can craft into unique outfits and equipment. And like, I know some people are like, oh, hunting and fishing, that's just busy work. But no, I think in RDR2 it's so well done. The hunting has weight to it, the tracking is satisfying, and getting a perfect pelt on a legendary animal feels like a real achievement. And on my first playthrough, I barely touched this stuff. I hunted what I needed for camp upgrades, and that was it. Second playthrough though, I decided I'm gonna be a mountain man. I'm gonna live in the wilderness. I'm gonna hunt every legendary animal, and it completely changed how I experienced the game. And that's the thing about Red Dead 2's replayability. You can play it completely differently each time based on what you choose to focus on. My first playthrough was story focused and just wanted to see what happens, wanted to experience Arthur's art. Second playthrough though, I was a hunter and explorer, spent way more time in the wilderness, crafted all the unique outfits, filled out the compendium, and also I decided to be a low honor outlaw, which I hadn't really done before, because the game kind of naturally pushes you toward high honor if you're doing the story missions and helping people. But playing as a real bastard, robbing everyone, being mean to people, killing people in cold blood, it changes the game. NPCs react to you differently, the story beats play out a little differently too. And also for the map, like you got 5 states, you got mountains, swamps, plains, forests, deserts, snowy regions, and each region has its own ecosystem, own towns, secrets. Basically, RDR2 is this meaty big open world game that just has a shit ton of things to do. Get lost in the world, just live in it.
Hi there, mister. Hey there.
Hello.
Hey there, mister. If I can reel him in.
You got it! Oh, amazing.
What about loyalty?
Loyal to what matters.